So today we'll discuss about non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, the 6 important subtypes of non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, namely follicular lymphoma, mantle cell lymphoma, marginal zone lymphoma, Burkitt's lymphoma, diffuse large B-cell lymphoma, and hairy cell leukemia. They are primarily B-cell lymphomas. So we'll discuss about each one of them under some headings. Like, first of all, we'll talk about the cell of origin. So follicular lymphoma, they originates from the germinal center B cell or germinal center B cell. Similarly, this Burkitt's lymphoma also originates from germinal center B cell. DLBCL also originates from germinal center B cell. What is the importance? That they bear the same CD4 markers. Mantle cell lymphoma, mantle means covering. So they are mature B cells which cover the germinal center. They are mature B cells which form a covering around the germinal center. Marginal zone lymphoma, it consists of post-germinal center B cell, also known as memory B cell. And hairy cell leukemia, it originates from both germinal center as well as post-germinal center B cell. So this is about the cell of origin. Now we'll discuss about any characteristic translocation. So when we talk about the follicular lymphoma, the characteristic translocation is translocation 1418. So because of this translocation, there is overexpression of BCL2 anti-apoptotic protein. So this is important, BCL2. In mantle cell lymphoma, the characteristic translocation is translocation 1114. And because of this, there is overexpression of BCL6 or what we call as cyclin D1 protein. Apart from that, there is also another variant, SOX11 variant. It can also be overexpressed, superoxide dismutase 11. Now, marginal zone lymphoma, there is no such characteristics translocation in this. In nearly up to 50% of cases, the translocation 1118 is seen. In 50% of cases of particularly extranodal marginal zone lymphoma, which we call as maltoma, the translocation 1118 can be seen. In Burkitt's lymphoma, any translocation which involves chromosome number 8, that can result in Burkitt's lymphoma, like translocation 28, translocation 814, translocation 822. So because of the involvement of chromosome number 8, there is overexpression of c-MYC gene. Overexpression. Now, this in DLBCL there is no such characteristic translocation, and also in this hairy cell leukemia. But in hairy cell leukemia, they are BRAF positive. So characteristics translocation is seen in follicular lymphoma, translocation 1418, in mantle cell translocation 1114, in marginal zone translocation 118, and in Burkitt's lymphoma translocations involving chromosome number 8, and in hairy cell leukemia there is increased they are BRAF positive. There is increased expression of BRAF protein. In follicular BCL2, in mantle cell BCL6, and marginal zone there is no such characteristic protein which is overexpressed. In Burkitt's lymphoma, BCL6, they are BCL6 positive, BCL2 is negative in this. So this is how you distinguish between the two. Both of them, they originate from the germinal center, but it is BCL2 positive. This is BCL2 negative. Diffuse large B-cell lymphoma, BCL6 is more common than BCL2. Okay. Now we move on to the characteristic immunophenotype. Because they originate, all of them originate from the B cell. So they all bear these B cell markers. But apart from that, there are some characteristic CD markers. Like in follicular lymphoma, it is CD5 negative, CD10 positive, and CD23 negative. This is in contrast to CLL, chronic lymphocytic leukemia, in which there is the exact opposite occurs. CLL is CD5 positive, CD10 negative, and CD23 positive. Okay. When we talk about the mantle cell lymphoma, so here it is CD5 positive, CD10 negative. So look at the difference, how it distinguishes from follicular lymphoma based on immunophenotype. It is 5 negative, but mantle cell lymphoma is 5 positive. Follicular lymphoma is 10 positive, but mantle cell lymphoma is negative for Kala antigen, common ELL antigen. Now marginal zone lymphoma. And marginal zone lymphoma, they are triple negative, CD5 negative, CD10 negative, and CD23 negative. Then we talk about the Burkitt's lymphoma. So in Burkitt's lymphoma, because they originate from germinal center, so similarly CD5 negative, CD10 positive, and apart from that, I told you they are BCL2 negative, and BCL6 is positive here, right? When we talk about the diffuse large B cell lymphoma, so CD5 negative, CD10 positive, CD45 positive, and BCL6, it is positive in over 2/3 of cases, and BCL2 ranging from 25 to 80%. So if BCL6 is overexpressed, so you will think of DLBCL over follicular lymphoma. Now in hairy cell leukemia, it is different from rest of the lymphomas. It is positive for CD11C, CD25, CD103. Also it is positive for annexin A1 and TRAP. TRAP means tartrate resistant acid phosphatase. So only two non-Hodgkin's lymphoma are TRAP positive. One is hairy cell leukemia, another is hepatosplenic lymphoma. Rest all are TRAP negative. Now if we talk about the grade and prognosis, so we grade them as low grade, intermediate grade, and high grade. Low grade lymphomas are also called as indolent lymphomas. Indolent in the sense that you can observe them. They are only treated if they cause symptoms or they cause organ dysfunction. And they are very sensitive to therapy, but ultimately majority of them are not curable. In contrast to this, the high grade lymphoma, which we called as aggressive lymphomas, they require urgent treatment. They cannot be observed. They require urgent, immediate treatment, but they are potentially curable. So low grade lymphoma, although they do not require urgent treatment, they can be observed and they are sensitive to therapy, but they are not curable in majority of cases. But the aggressive lymphoma, if treated promptly, they are potentially curable. So when we talk about the follicular lymphoma, so we say it is low grade lymphoma or indolent lymphoma, or rather if asked which is the most common indolent lymphoma, so that is follicular lymphoma, and overall it is second most common lymphoma. So if I mention here, but overall DLBCL is the most common lymphoma, and this follicular lymphoma is the second most common lymphoma. And if asked which is the most common lymphoma in children, so that would be Burkitt's lymphoma. So it's a pediatric tumor majorly. Now if we talk about the mantle cell lymphoma, so mantle cell lymphoma is intermediate grade, except for the SOX11 variant, which is low grade. So SOX11 variant is low grade, otherwise it is intermediate grade. When we talk about the marginal zone lymphoma, so marginal zone lymphoma is again low grade or indolent lymphoma. And Burkitt's lymphoma and DLBCL, they are aggressive lymphomas. Burkitt lymphoma is so much aggressive that the proliferative index is 100%. The doubling time is less than 24 hours. So the proliferative index is 100%. Very rapidly growing. DLBCL, again aggressive lymphoma, but potentially curable if treated promptly. aggressive or high grade. Hairy cell leukemia, again it is low grade or indolent lymphoma. Now let me talk about any characteristic histology. So in follicular lymphoma we come across two types of cell. One are centrocytes and centroblasts. Centrocytes are basically small cleaved cell. Small cleaved cell. And centroblasts are large non-cleaved cell. And depending upon the number of centroblasts per high power field, there is WHO grading for follicular lymphoma. So WHO grading is grade 1, grade 2, grade 3 depending upon the number of centroblasts. Why the centroblasts are important? Because they portend the poor prognosis. If there are centroblasts are in large numbers, so there is increased proliferative index and there is poorer prognosis and there is decreased overall survival. So depending upon the number of centroblasts, there is a WHO grading of follicular lymphoma. And mantle cell lymphoma, only centrocytes are seen, centroblasts are absent. And in marginal zone lymphoma, it has basically three varieties. We'll discuss it in the clinical features. One is nodal, one is extranodal, which we call as maltoma, and one is splenic variety. So in splenic variety, it mimics hairy cell leukemia because it can present with splenomegaly, it can present with pancytopenia, and apart from that, in peripheral lymphocytes, there are hairy villous projections. So it very closely mimics hairy cell leukemia. So how will you distinguish? You will distinguish depending upon the immunophenotype. So you can have hairy projections. And in maltoma, characteristically lymph epithelial lesions are seen due to invasion of epithelial cells by malignant lymphocytes. So lymph epithelial lesions. Now if I talk about the Burkitt's lymphoma, so in Burkitt's lymphoma, all of you are well versed with starry sky appearance. So why does this starry sky appearance? The body macrophages which have a pale cytoplasm, the tingible body macrophages which have pale cytoplasm, they are scattered in a background of blue tumor cells. So they give an appearance of starry sky. Okay. And DLBCL, there is no such characteristic histology. In hairy cell, you are well versed that in hairy cell leukemia, there are hairy cells. Apart from that, when you look at the bone marrow, so bone marrow has honeycomb appearance and leukemic cells have fried egg appearance. So bone marrow has honeycomb appearance and leukemic cells have fried egg appearance. Here I want to tell you something about DLBCL. The DLBCL is most common non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. Apart from that, most of body cavity lymphoma, I am writing it under histology, but otherwise it will come in the epidemiology, that it accounts for most of body cavity lymphomas, most of post-transplant lymphoma, and most of CNS lymphomas. So most of CNS lymphoma which are seen in HIV or other immunodeficient condition, they are DLBCL. Similarly, post-transplant lymphomas, they are DLBCL, and body cavity lymphomas are also DLBCL variety. So this is all about the cell of origin, translocation, immunophenotype, prognosis and histology. Now we move on to discuss about the clinical features and treatment. So now we'll talk about the clinical features of each of these lymphomas. So when we talk about the follicular lymphoma, it characteristically presents as painless, generalized lymphadenopathy. So you can come across epitrochlear lymphadenopathy. So the lymphadenopathy at unusual sites can also be seen. They usually present as painless, generalized lymphadenopathy. But extranodal involvement can occur. And another important thing I want to tell you here, that there is high rate of transformation to DLBCL of follicular lymphoma. High rate of transformation to DLBCL, 3% per year. So the possibility of DLBCL should be considered in a patient of follicular lymphoma. Now, talking about the mantle cell lymphoma. So mantle cell lymphoma present with lymphadenopathy, splenomegaly, particularly the SOX11 variant that presents with splenomegaly. And apart from that, there can be GIT manifestation also, lymphomatoid polyposis. Lymphomatoid polyposis. So this is how they can present. Now if I talk about the marginal zone lymphoma, so marginal zone lymphoma presents in 3 types. Either it would be nodal variety, which is very similar to follicular lymphoma, or it would be splenic variety. So splenic variety, if I talk, so there are a few important points. It is particularly seen in Caucasian population, older Caucasian population. Hepatitis C infection is a risk factor. It's an important thing that hepatitis C infection is a risk factor, and treatment of hepatitis C can result in regression of lymphoma. So it is an important risk factor. So they usually present with splenomegaly, lymphocytosis, and there could be pancytopenia. Pancytopenia is plus minus. So they present with splenomegaly, lymphocytosis with or without pancytopenia. And I have told you in peripheral smear you will come across hairy cells. So you need to distinguish it from hairy cell leukemia. So this is about the splenic variety. If I talk about the maltoma, the extranodal marginal zone lymphoma of malt tissue, which is called as maltoma. So the most common site is stomach. And let me tell you, marginal zone lymphoma is the only type which is seen in association with chronic infections. Like chronic H. pylori infection can result in maltoma of the stomach. Similarly, skin infection with Borrelia burgdorferi can result in maltoma. Similarly, for conjunctiva, it could be because of Chlamydia psittaci. Intestines because of Campylobacter jejuni. Few important things I want to tell you about the marginal zone lymphoma. That is, it is the only lymphoma which is more common in females than males. Otherwise, most of the lymphomas are common in males. Okay, and it is the only lymphoma which is seen in association with chronic infections. And also, so that's why antibiotics have a role in their treatment. Again, it is the only lymphoma in which there is a role of antibiotics. And it is also one of the few lymphoma which occurs in association with autoimmune disorders. Apart from marginal zone lymphoma, DLBCL can also occur in association with autoimmune disorders. And also, again, one of the few lymphoma in which there is a role of radiotherapy. So these are some important points. Only lymphoma which occur in females, only lymphoma which occur in association with chronic infections or autoimmune disorders, only lymphoma which responds to antibiotics. Now if I talk about the Burkitt's lymphoma, so again it has 3 varieties: nodal, splenic and maltoma. This Burkitt's lymphoma has 3 varieties. First one is endemic or African variety. So endemic or African form, there is 100% ABV positivity usually. Okay, they are 100% positive for ABV. Now, how do they present? They usually present with jaw or facial tumor, mandibular or maxillary mass. They usually present with, and then spreads to involve ovary, testes, kidneys, adrenals, bone marrow, CNS. Okay, and another variety is sporadic variety, or non-endemic form, what we called as. So they are usually EBV negative, and they usually present with abdominal disease. They usually involve the ileocecum. and there is also ascites. They again spread to kidneys, adrenals, ovary, testes. So both of these varieties spread to ovary, testes, kidneys, adrenals, bone marrow, CNS. So let me tell you that bone marrow and CNS involvement is very typical of this. Bone marrow and CNS involvement usually occurs only in Burkitt's and DLBCL. Okay, so this is very typical of this bone marrow and CNS involvement. There is third variety which is occurs in association with HIV or immunodeficiency. So immunodeficiency related, that usually involve lymph nodes, but that is an aggressive form. So that usually involves the lymph nodes. So because there is high rate of involvement of CNS and bone marrow, so CNS prophylaxis is mandatory in a patient of Burkitt's lymphoma. Now talking about the DLBCL, so DLBCL, okay, another question is somebody asked you which is the most common rapidly prolific non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. So the answer would be Burkitt's lymphoma, because I've already told you that the proliferation index is 100%. So most common rapidly prolific non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, apart from being the most common lymphoma in children. Now, if I talk about the DLBCL, so diffuse large B-cell lymphoma, how does it present? So it can present with lymphadenopathy, lymphomatoid polyposis. So apart from mantle cell lymphoma, it can also present as lymphomatoid polyposis. Again, bone marrow involvement is seen in more than 40% patients, and CNS dissemination. So there is increased risk of CNS dissemination in patients who are having testicular involvement or adrenal involvement, kidney involvement, breast involvement, paranasal sinus involvement, epidural space involvement. So in all of these group of patients who are at high risk of CNS dissemination, the CNS irradiation is done. Prophylactic CNS irradiation is done. So again, there is bone marrow and CNS involvement in this. And as I've told you that most of the body cavity lymphomas, most of the post-transplant lymphomas, or most of the CNS lymphomas are DLBCL. So it occurs in association with autoimmune disorders. It occurs in association with immunodeficiency or immunosuppression. And also if there is an affected first degree relative, so there is increased risk of DLBCL. I hope this is clear. Autoimmune diseases. So this is about the DLBCL. Now hairy cell leukemia. Hairy cell leukemia. So it is unique. Hairy cell leukemia usually, how does it present? It presents with splenomegaly and pancytopenia. Hepatomegaly can also occur, but lymphadenopathy is distinctly rare. So lymphadenopathy does not occur in hairy cell leukemia. So they usually present with massive splenomegaly and pancytopenia. Particularly there is profound monocytopenia, so which predispose to atypical mycobacterial infections, particularly Mycobacteria cancerci infections. Also, there is increased risk of infections of Pneumocystis carni pneumonia and Aspergillus infection, but particularly important is this atypical mycobacterial infection. Now, if you do the bone marrow, so there is usually a dry tap. Now, why does this dry tap occur? This dry tap occurs because of deposition of reticulin fibers in bone marrow. So there is dry tap, and also I've told you bone marrow has a honeycomb appearance and leukemic cells have a fried egg appearance. So these are a few things which are important, and it involves the red pulp of the spleen. Most of the lymphomas, they involves the white pulp of the spleen, but it involves the red pulp of the spleen. Okay, so this is about the clinical features. Now treatment, broadly speaking, treatment is R-CHOP for all of these lymphomas: rituximab, cyclophosphamide, vincristine, doxorubicin, and prednisone. So usually the treatment of choice is R-CHOP. Mantle cell lymphoma, we give along with it high dose cytarabine. R-CHOP plus high dose cytarabine, because they do not do well with R-CHOP alone. For marginal zone lymphoma, I have told you there is a role of antibiotics, particularly which occur in association with chronic infections. But in case if there is a translocation 11-18, so they are refractory to antibiotic treatment. So in that case, you have to give R-CHOP. For Burkitt's lymphoma, usually R-CHOP is not sufficient. There are many regimens which are given for Burkitt's lymphoma, but all of them contain high dose cyclophosphamide. There is one regimen called as Codox M Evac regimen. So cyclophosphamide, vincristine, doxorubicin, methotrexate, ifosfamide. Okay. I told you like cyclophosphamide, vincristine, doxorubicin, methotrexate, and ifosfamide. Now, if I talk about, this is Codox Amivac regimen, and apart from that, CNS prophylaxis is mandatory. Okay, and diffuse large B-cell lymphoma, the treatment is again R-CHOP. First choice is R-CHOP. Apart from that, apart from R-CHOP, there is also role of anti-CD19 CAR T cells. In refractory or relapsed patient, there is a role of anti-CD19 CAR T cells. CAR T means chimeric antigen receptor cells. And in hairy cell leukemia, the treatment is very important. Again, the patient who are at high risk of CNS dissemination, you have to give CNS prophylaxis. So here it is mandatory. In DLBCL, it is only given to patients who are at high risk. The treatment of hairy cell leukemia is very important. You can give cladribine. You can give interferon alpha. There is a role of drug known as deoxycoformycin. Apart from that, there is a role of splenectomy, and a very recent one, vemurafenib, which acts on BRAF. Vemurafenib. So these are the 5 drugs which are effective from therapies which are effective from hairy cell leukemia. So this is all about the non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. Hope you enjoyed this session. Thank you very much.